What is good, everybody? Welcome to the month of August. Sorry about the lack of updates, at least via chart posts or videos throughout the day today, but that's why I'm going to come on and just do another live stream or a regular stream to piggyback off of what we talked about yesterday and these potential dips that we're seeing happen right now. So I briefly checked the X community, and it's pretty ridiculous to see how fast sentiment shifts when things are pumping and then when you see a dip in the market. But everybody around here in this group, we've expected these ranges to be hit once we saw that our 3750 range of Ethereum couldn't hold support. And we left off on the stream yesterday. I'll go over the 1 hour charts because this is where we left off at, and we're talking about that wick. And remember, we wicked off of there, shot real hard, and came back down to test the 3750 range. That 200-day moving average, and the hourly chart came up to the 3750 range, gave us a potential sign of life. But ultimately, too many bounces on this range just weakened that level of support. Price ripped through it. That wick that we brought up on that last stream from yesterday eventually got tested. As you see, the price candles came down to the range. But something I want you guys to pay attention to. These ranges, when I highlight them, and by the way, I'm going to make this video for all members, maybe even just public, because why not? It's just a quick update. But anyways, so everybody will have access to this, just because I know some of the people that pay for the basic posts, I haven't made really much of a post outside of streaming, so I'll make this for everybody today. But anyways, pay attention to all these ranges that we point out as the weeks go on, because as the chart moves up and down, none of this stuff should shock you. All we're doing is just testing structure. All of these horizontal lines that you're seeing the price bounce off of that used to be potential or used to be confirmed resistance lines are being tested as support lines. You're seeing minor bounces. Now, the support's not that strong, of course, but these are all areas that the market is trying to find an area to form a higher low. So right now, Ethereum's sitting in this 470 range, this 3470 range. But remember, when we had this pump all the way about 2 weeks ago, I was talking to you guys about when the prices were moving and the momentum was high. I was thinking that the price would probably top off around 3750, if not $4,000. It was like a $250 range where I thought we would see a local top in Ethereum. Now we're seeing that play out. We saw 3750 get tested for a long while, but not necessarily that $4,000 range. I still think $4,000 is another strong area of resistance, but we're pushing real close on the macro scale to it's okay to see the dip happen now. But the fact that we're seeing this turnaround in price is not a bearish thing. This is something that you want to see when we're talking about structure on the macro scale. And we talked about that many times. Just zoom back out. Like we're trying to break out of this sideways consolidating range for a few months. Remember that. Like we finally broke that after you saw that bear trap back in late June. And now we've just been ripping up nonstop. So like we haven't really had a real pullback outside of this sideways movement bull flag that we talked about a while ago. But now that we're getting some areas of pull back, that's where you start talking about these ranges. So remember, one of my videos, I don't know, we make so many videos at this point, but one of my videos probably a week ago or so, maybe even 2 weeks ago, probably within the last 10, for sure within the last 10 days. This gray highlighted range, give me 1 second. Let me get a little pad real quick. We talked about this gray range that we had highlighted. I kept that there. That could be a potential area of pullback when we saw this top. Although it's not fun to talk about prices going that low on the dips, sometimes it's kind of necessary because when you look at a day chart, I mean, on an hour chart, it looks terrible, right? But when you look at things in the day chart, there's not too much structure here being tested in terms of solid sound movement in the market. You like to see the markets move in waves, big impulses with big corrections, big impulses. A nice big healthy correction would put you in that gray range. So that's why we had the area of that area was so focused on. Now, I'm not here to call a bottom or a top or anything, but I don't see the market wanting to go below this gray range. If it does go below, I don't think it wants to spend too much time underneath there. If it does, we'll focus on where the next targets are if and when that happens. But we've pulled back pretty hard at this point. And I still have my sights set on a potential floor wanted to be created in that gray range, because just think of all that previous structure we had there. The reason why we found that range in the first place. And looking at the daily candles now, again, there's not much structure in the daily, but you see how the price wicked off the top and then also wicked off the bottom? There is definitely structure there to focus on. You see a little bit of movement, but the price chart was just so healthy at one point that it didn't really need to slow down there. But in a perfect world, you would have saw more sideways movement at this range before it moved up, but it never happened. But now we're getting that opportunity to start creating that structure that we didn't necessarily create initially when we were there in the middle of July. So yeah, just pay attention to everything we've been talking about in our streams. All these levels that have been highlighted, just stay focused on those. Don't get caught up in all the madness and all the sentiment shifting. It's people on Twitter and comparing their tokens to meme tokens that are pumping. Like it's silly stuff. It's honestly ridiculous. But that's why I am doing this Patreon group with you guys. This is just so we can focus on the charts. We can focus on the story that the price charts are trying to tell us, and really just staying focused on our investments. That's it. Keep all the fluff, all the hype, all the silly stuff out the way, all the unnecessary stuff that comes along with being a part of a community like that. That's what we're avoiding here. Although this video is probably going to be for everybody, but yeah. So Ethereum right now 3,500, finally getting a nice pullback. Nice to see. I want to go talk about the Pulsechain cores real quick. I want to keep this video short and sweet. Just really wanted to update you guys because, yeah, I mean, prices are dipping. Although we talked about these dips. We'll start with Hex. So remember this, ladies and gentlemen, on the hour chart yesterday, we were talking about these ranges and price bounced off our blue range that we had. We were talking about, we kept creating these higher lows. Remember, we had this low, high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. Uh-oh, equal high. Actually a lower high from right there. Uh-oh, lower high. That could be a little bit of a reversal. Boom, volatile price shot down. It respected our blue range, but we created the first lower low in quite a while. So that can be a sign of a pullback, just like how Ethereum was showing it. Price pulled back up. We had this red range highlighted. We wanted to see how price would react. You see how we highlighted this little area right there. I drew that blue marker of a potential area to see a lower high. We got the lower low. We might have saw a lower high there in that range, and sure enough, at the very tip top of that range, we got the lower high. That's what we mapped out yesterday before it happened. What did we talk about? As soon as we highlighted that, we just extended this blue line, this little ghetto blue line that I drew a while ago, just extended it. That could be the next range where you see the next lower low. Sure enough, price comes down to that exact range. You got the next lower low precisely in that range. Price comes back up, since that, and then you get the test to the top of this blue range. Now you got another lower high. So this is just continuing. Right now it's trying to create a lower low. Right now we're at like equal lows. This is the hourly chart, so this is going to change in the next few hours. By the time most of you watch this video, we're going to get more price developments, but you could see something like this where price wants to come to the bottom of this range, maybe test a potential resistance there, and it might want to shoot down to a penny. But remember, on that video we talked about yesterday, we can go as low as a penny, and we're still looking for higher lows on the macro scale. We have plenty of room to go down, ladies and gentlemen, to create higher lows, right? So, like, look at this chart on the daily. This is just a vertical, big explosion, right? It's not really a structured move. We do have this doji engulfing candle that price is now visiting, which you expect those types of things like we talked about plenty of times in the past, but you can go as low as a penny. We mapped that out yesterday. Price still has has room to push down. Price can even go lower than a penny if it wanted to. I'm not saying it's going to, but look at the structure right there. You just extend this whole sort of range there. You have plenty of structure to be tested, right? So no matter what happens, the key thing is just setting a floor, setting a new foundation. Do we set the floor at the penny range? Do we set the floor where we're at now? Do we set the floor just right here where the previous structure is at? In a picture perfect world, you want to test. You like seeing previous resistance tested as newfound support. Now that would be an extremely strong dip, but considering that we went from about just over 0.4 of a penny all the way to 1.4 pennies, that's a massive run up. That's a massive run up. That's almost 4x. That's at least 3x almost of a move right there. So if you move up 300%, I mean, you're due, and you move up that fast, 300% in a vertical matter, you would expect big dips, right? Every time I talk about those impulses and the corrections, you get those big impulsive imbalance candles. I talk about, at the very least, you're going to fill those halfway. Well, that applies on a macro scale to an extent too. We're not going to necessarily I mean, you could fill this halfway. Halfway would be where the structure is at right there. But just to fill those imbalances on a macro scale, that's something completely normal and natural to see in the markets. So yeah, I just wanted to at least give you guys the idea that these ranges we talk about, what's happening, are things that we already forecasted happening. But don't set your hopes up. You like the same way you can't get greedy when it comes to taking profits as prices go up. You can't get greedy when you look for entries in the way down. Someone's always going to set the market, and then the moment it reverses, sentiment shifts just like that, right? Everybody forgot about a 3-year long, 4-year long bear market the moment that this thing flipped around. That when that mega wallet started selling down at these ranges, that wallet finally cleared its wallet out. Everybody just forgot that there was a 4-year long bear market, right? So sentiment shifts quite fast around here. But yeah, so you still overall have room to move down without breaking structure. You still have signs and hints of all of these. Hang on, my dog wants to come hang out with me. Let me go let her in. Hang on. For the people that know me from last cycle, I still have the same puppy. She's a dog now, but she's still a puppy to me, and I'll always call her a puppy, but it's still the same girl. Right there. Okay. Let me get my pad back. What was I saying? Oh, you're still looking for those retests that can confirm trend reversals, like the bearish trends we were seeing on Pulse. Like, for example, we go to Pulse, go to the daily. Remember, we've been focused on this for a long time. Remember this downtrend we have right here? This downtrend that was in May? We finally broke. We had the high, the lower high, the lower high with lower lows. Well, we broke out of that trend, right? And then we reversed. We broke out of the trend, came down, retested that trend line, signaling a potential confirmation for a trend reversal breakout. And when you see those types of things, remember, you have these lows. We broke the trend, set a temporary high, but the key thing was not only tapping that previous resistance trend as a support line, but also creating a higher low simultaneously, right? And then the higher high, higher low. This gets a little ugly here because there's not much structure because it was such a vertical move. That's not a bad thing. That's because prices have been so bullish lately. One thing I do want to point out, let me step back. All of that's still confirmed. You got this downtrend reversal confirmed, but the key thing here is this high that was made in May has been broken. We found ourselves a higher high, ladies and gentlemen. We've been creating higher lows. If you really zoom out on this thing now, you have this cycle low of the year that happened in March, and then this high, which was in May, a higher low in July that was above the March lows, and then now in August. So this is March, April, May, June, July, August. This is a 5-month pattern sort of signaling a reversal trend, almost a reversal of a market, right? That can be the ultimate sign of a bear market turning into a bull market. So you're getting all of the signs. But anyways, and consider this, like, I didn't just pop up streaming again out of nowhere. Like, there's a reason for my timing to come back to stream. There's a reason why I came back to streaming, not to just be an influencer on Twitter again and build a 30,000+ follower page and make all these hype videos and bull posts and everything. No, like, there's a reason why I came back at this specific stage of the market. There's a reason why I decided to come back when we started showing this consolidation at these lows right here. Because I genuinely believe that the market is shifting. My sentiment shifted. The market started confirming it when we started streaming again. Now it's starting to materialize, and that idea is starting to formulate, and it's a beautiful thing. Now, cool thing here real quick. Wicks, right? We talked about Wicks. If you put a little lot, let's put a ray. Let's go with rays here. I'm 15 minutes into this video, dang. You put a ray right here at this wick, extend it over, look what happens. Candle closes at that range. Cool, right? Now, we have this wick all the way at the 55 range that we highlighted yesterday. These wicks will eventually be filled. These wicks tell you a lot inside the story that you're trying to, figure out within the price charts. These wicks will eventually be filled. These wicks give you perfect areas for new price targets whenever the market rebalances itself and finds its structure and gets its way up. But remember, price is just coming back down to this range right now. We're on the 1 day. Let's go to the 1 hour. We mapped out this blue range as being a retested area. You see all this squiggly line and stuff. I drew that in the daily, so it looks a lot larger and messier in the hourly. But we're finally coming back down to our blue range. It'd be perfect, an ideal bull world that is the support line that we find. But keep in mind, I mean, Hex is going a lot lower. Hex could be the leading indicator, or it could just be more volatile following this leading indicator of Pulse. But Pulse is heavily bonded to ETH, and ETH has lost its floor a little bit. So we're kind of waiting to see what happens with ETH. I don't see much more downside to the ETH chart. Again, in that 33-ish range where that gray level was at that I had highlighted, that can put you at the 40 range. I was just telling you guys in the Patreon, Pulsechain can go all the way back down to the 40 range like we mapped out. It can go all the way down here and still confirm higher lows, right? So there's still a lot of room to grow if it wants to push down. And I say that not saying like, hey, get bearish. I say that because it's like the charts are so extremely strong right now in this moment that we have plenty of room to fall to find structure, and you want to see structure in these charts. Incentive token, map that out too. We had the top. We didn't necessarily bounce off this range. I'm not going to break down the micros, what we talked about. It's pretty much the same things we saw yesterday, but we broke underneath here, confirmed this blue range as a resistance line, came back down since then, which is today. And, I mean, it's no shocker. You see bounces off these extended blue lines. The same way we extended that blue line off of Hex and you saw price kind of treat that as a magnet. You got the magnet there in incentive token too. Price is now ripped under it, and it looks like it wants to confirm a potential resistance line here. So what I would pay attention to is the battle that happens right here at this $2.10 range. Zooming back, everybody in the Patreon knows that this $2.10 range was our initial target once we got over $1.50 and confirmed $1.70 as a minor support line. I mean, everything's just going according to what the chart would, what a chartist would expect to see in a chart. So, I mean, yeah, this thing can come all the way back down to 170 and find its structural areas of support if it wanted to. It can drop another 30 cents. I'm telling you guys, like I'm not saying I'm expecting that to happen because I have no idea what's going to happen. I'm just telling you. I mean, you have structure here that you can easily find a floor here and then go start moving up again. But I'm telling you guys, like, just to keep focus and keep your emotions removed, and just if you listen to less of the community on Twitter and just pay attention to the charts themselves and just pay attention to people that are focused on the assets, like how I am, you can really realize that, like, this movement to the downside is not a bad thing. This is just structural stuff. It's going to give the chart structural integrity to essentially create a launch pad for the next move up. Now, because initially when we broke $1.70, remember we were talking about it'd be nice to get above $1.58, break $1.70, put $1.70 as a support line, and then move up. It was so strong that we never really confirmed 170 as a support line. So in a bearish environment, if prices wanted to keep moving down, you can still find that opportunity to set 170 as a support line. But then again, this blue line that we're focused on right here, that was an area for a bounce, and it's not really holding too strong. So I say all that again, not to be too repetitive, but I do want to kind of scream it at everybody's faces. We have so much more room to move down if we wanted to, and it would not invalidate any bullish structure. It would not invalidate any potential sign of the bull market returning. It would not create a bearish environment. That's how bullish the charts have been as of late, that we have all this extra room for cushion, right? And then there's a lot of people sitting on the sidelines waiting to get in. I can tell you that much. And then one thing, I mean, Helgo, you guys know I've been very vocal about Helgo. With all of the stuff happening on Pulsechain right now, there's one token sitting at all-time highs. Even in the midst of all this madness, Helgo, the best meme token in all of Pulsechain, sitting at all-time highs. I mean, I guess it's dipping now, but overall, like, it's the highest it's ever been. A coin built to pump Hex. I mean, this thing is beautiful. Look at this token. Tons of liquidity too. I mean, this coin is the coin, ladies and gentlemen. This is not financial advice, but this is the coin to be focused on this cycle. If you're trying to have fun in a meme coin, and a coin that's really going to have a lot of volatility, and a coin that's going to perform, if not as good, but much better than every other Richard Hart core token this cycle, as this bull market continues to move forward, this is the coin. Just do your own research on it. But this is genuinely my favorite coin in all of Pulse outside of any Richard Hart core tokens. I consider this a Richard Hart core token, but just look at this chart. It's beautiful. I mean, you're talking previous all-time highs as a potential support. That's the only token in all of Pulsechain where you're talking about setting new all-time high, setting previous all-time highs as a support line potentially. But this thing is massively, it's holding massive structure right here. I mean, it's strong. There's a ton of strength in this token. And again, it's not one of those silly tokens with low liquidity that's hard to get in and out of. You can move big bags of that token. I've seen it happen. Anyways, but Pulse X, same sort of thing. Yeah, so that blue line extended like how we saw in every other token, or not every other, but Hex and incentive token. It bounced off that blue line as a potential magnet. This one confirmed the blue line already as a resistance line. Kind of what incentive token is trying to do right now. It looks like Pulse X is kind of ahead of the curve. It's bouncing, maybe setting a new minor structural support or a resistance line. It might want to push down. This thing can come all the way down to 30, the same way Pulse can go all the way down to 40. So again, I won't repeat this whole entire thing all over again because they're all the charts for Richard R tokens are saying the same things, but we have plenty of room to move down to not only confirm bullish structure, but yeah, or not only to find support, but to just confirm bullish structure. There's nothing bearish about what's happening in the charts, so just don't get caught up in the daily, -8% and then plus 20%, like -10% in 24 hours. I thought it was way worse actually. The Wrapped Bitcoin chart, we talked about this. Double top with lower low. We'll talk more about this on the Patreon tomorrow. I'll make a video for this. It's starting to bounce off the 780 range that we're at. I'll give you guys an update for the Wrapped Bitcoin guys. But we are seeing a double top at that psychological $1,000 range. Keep an eye on that. PTGC, another beautiful token. My man B Roots, he was reaching out to me the other day. He told me that the technicals don't matter in this coin. I'm like, B Roots, come on, man. Technicals matter. We found ourselves a potential resistance, a confirmed resistance area, but the chart's extremely beautiful because why technicals matter, you could see a launch pad in the 70 range as a potential support, but if everything else wants to continue dipping within the ecosystem, this might want to push down to our next lower levels. But PTGC is one of those coins that kind of just toots to the beat of its own drum. And this thing's been moving. This thing's a beautiful chart. This chart is the second best looking chart, I think, in my opinion, on Pulsechain right now. This is the second best looking chart outside of the Helgo chart. This chart's looking extremely nice. This thing is one bull flag away from testing all-time highs again, if the structure can, play its cards right. So I'll keep you guys updated with this one. For you PDI guys out there, we broke that double top. That was scary looking. And we hit our target of the 75 range, and now it's just kind of coming down. Hopefully what you want to see here is testing this structure as support. You don't have much room to push down. If this pushes lower back to our gray range that we mapped out weeks ago, it gets a little muddy, gets a little funky looking, but for now, just all this consolidating price action that you saw, you want to see that as a floor. I know there's a lot of EHEX lovers. A lot of the EHEX lovers switch to Helgo, and rightfully so, but EHEX, I don't even have to update you guys. Just look at the chart. Look at it. It's hitting all the lines we talked about in the past. Comes down to the yellow range. Look at the big bounce off the bottom. Breaks through. Hits our next lower level target. Cannot hold. Breaks. Retest. Now it's bouncing off our lower level. These structures matter, ladies and gentlemen. It's not magic. It really isn't magic. But it looks like a good area for EHEX to potentially find a floor here if you're looking at these previous highs from the cycle in early July. Good structure there. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to leave it at that. Focus on Ethereum for a little while. Just see what's happening here. Again, this gray range. One thing. Let's look at this RSI. I've been talking about this daily RSI for Hex. Okay. Guess I have to type it in. I'm just going to go do a general RSI again. Oops. Let me read. So you guys know I do the 80-20. Shit, what am I doing? So all right, I have to redo my settings on the RSI, but anyways, just to keep it short and sweet, I keep it at the 80-20. So we bounced off the 80. Remember I was telling you guys about this RSI. It was extremely overbought. We'd want to see this thing cool down and reset. Well, now we're starting to see that reset. This thing's already below 70. It's at 66. It's already starting to get to healthy ranges. So when I talk about not being too greedy when you're looking for pullbacks, this thing does not need to go all the way down to being oversold. It just has to return to normal, which is already starting to get there. Just looking at the macro scale. What happened to my... I'm looking at Hex Inc. That's why. Let me go to my Hex chart. I was like, wait, why is there nothing on the chart? Here we go. RSI here. So let's go to the daily. Here we go. So we're extremely overbought at the 80 range. Now we've calmed down. We're getting back to normal ranges, higher ranges, right? But 50s that homeostasis kind of equal middle ground area, but we're just sitting 60 normally above. So this RSI is already starting to reset itself. If price wants to push back down to a penny, that probably puts you at the 50 range. I mean, that's a perfect area for a launch pad. And that penny is just right above that structure there. Again, I would say in an absolute worst case scenario world, you're going to touch 9/10 of a penny where I circled, but a normal world, maybe a penny, or a bullish world, which is one we could be living in right now. It could just be finding a floor here soon. So I'm not here to make price predictions, but again, structure. We've got plenty of it. So yeah, stay tuned to the Patreon. I'll keep you guys posted tomorrow as we go on with updates, and we'll just kind of go from there. I'll see you guys tomorrow.